What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review a double mixtape by Lil Wayne. Basically, this project is called the Drought 3 and it came out in the spring of 2007. And the thing about this particular project is this is a pretty heralded mixtape here. I would definitely have to say this is definitely one of Lil Wayne's bestest overall. He did a ton of things right on here. This is Lil Wayne in his complete prime back in the Carter 2, Like Father, Like Son days, some stuff like that back when he was getting countless hits with Birdman and some of those type folks. I would have to say the days of Leather So Soft, Stuntin' Like My Daddy, Fireman, some of those type pitches, other hits that he had kind of around that time. It's just some good stuff to kind of have. This is Lil Wayne completely eviscerating like a double project. So when folks think, I mean, back in these days, Lil Wayne wasn't anywhere. Back in these days, 2006, 2007, Lil Wayne wasn't about to drop a double project, but he definitely dropped the double mixtape and he completely knocked it out of the park. So this mixtape is going to get a 10 out of 10. I'm going to have to say there's 26 songs on this particular mixtape. Well, that actually, there's 26 songs on this particular mixtape, and out of those 26, I wound up recommending to you 21. So I'm going to go ahead and give this mixtape like a 10 out of 10. There only being 5 songs I didn't recommend. Well, I just would have to say, overall, this is a pretty super stellar type project. I just would have to say it's got a ton of hits on here. I would have to say it's got tons of hits on here. It has some beats like Shoulder Lean and King Kong by Jibs, Shoulder Lean by Young Dro, Top Back by T.I., Go Get It by Jeezy. Just some good hits on here to particularly kind of have just within that sense. Lil Wayne completely obliterates every single one of these. He has some other good beats on here. He has some East Coast beats, some Cameron type beats, a Nas beat, some Jay-Z beats, some stuff like that. Just some overall good stuff. It's just a good context to kind of get some of these and just kind of have that particular type mixture. Most of these songs, I'll just go ahead and talk about the songs real quick that I didn't recommend just to get those out of the way. I just would have to say that basically just there were a couple clumsy ones. Like Forever was just kind of a clumsy beat. I kind of felt like that one was just not a good example. That one was just trying to be like a Dipset beat that just didn't work that well. And it's the same thing with Dipset too. Both of these were just kind of clumsier, just type East Coast type beats that just didn't pull it off quite as well. It's about the only mixture. I mean, I feel like sometimes Lil Wayne can pull off those Cameron and Don Cannon type vibes. Other times he doesn't. I mean, it worked pretty well in Dedication 1 and 2, but I just didn't see it as much on a couple of these songs. But there are some Dipset songs on here like Dipset 1 is pretty excellent, I'd have to say. And there's another one on here like New Cash Money, which is a Cameron beat that does pretty well. So it's just kind of here and there, but I would have to say some of those ones were kind of clumsy. Swizzy pretty much had the song Swizzy pretty much had like the worst beat on the whole mixtape. I'd have to say, damn near it's just a poor concept as far as that kind of happened. And then Get High Rule the World was just not a very, I felt like Get High Rule the World was just not a very good choice for like a beat to kind of freestyle to as far as that pitch kind of happened. I mean, it's a good song by Nas and that sort of pitch, but this was kind of one that just didn't match the rest of the theme of this album, with most of this kind of being more dirty south and kind of more just freestyle type beats as far as that pitch kind of happens. I feel like this one was kind of more for like a song in terms of like a standard songwriting. Just didn't see as much of like a freestyle type song. And then I'd have to say that Crazy was one. This is a Gnarls Barkley type tune. Crazy was kind of an odd one. This is a Gnarls Barkley song, I'd have to say. It's a good concept. The original song was pretty good, but I just feel like Lil Wayne kind of haphazardly kind of did it. It was here and there. I mean, it's a decent one to kind of smoke to if you haven't. Crazy, the Lil Wayne version, is a pretty good song to smoke to in like a certain sense, but it just doesn't have quite the same signature singing and this doesn't have like the same signature singing and overall melodies that that particular song kind of did. So it's just kind of one that was trying to be like a sing-songy type one, but just didn't pull it off quite as well, I'd have to say. But that's basically the concept about this particular mixtape. To talk about some of the songs I do enjoy, which is a lot. 21 songs out of 26 is definitely pretty sheerly excellent, I'd have to say. Just chock full of hits, just being able to say that. Plenty of these. We Taking Over is an excellent one. Boom, which is Lil Boozy. Zoom is a pretty nice one. There's some other ones on here. I definitely like President with Dead Presidents with Currency is a pretty nice one. Back on My Grizzly is one of the best songs on the album. Another highlight off here is Ride From My Niggas, Sky's the Limit, which is to Mike Jones as Mr. Jones. That's a pretty good highlight. Definitely a pretty excellent one. Like a lot of these, just as long as you like the beat. And the thing about this particular mixtape is just the fact that Lil Wayne, circa 2006, 2007, he had his finger on the pulse in terms of a lot of highlighted type beats and productions that were popping around this particular time. Like I feel like some folks kind of feel like some of the beats that he chose on like Dedication 6, Dedication 5, some of the, maybe not Dedication 5, but Dedication 6, No Ceilings 2, some of those type ones were just not quite as oriented. But I would have to say that the pitches on this particular one, a lot of these are very relevant to like 2006, 2007. So you'll hear a lot of charting hits that kind of happen. And a lot of these are just extensively good hits from the 2000s that just happen to be a good choice to kind of get just within that pitch of just doing it. So it's just some good stuff. Basically, you just get the hit song that these artists did, and then you get Lil Wayne just completely destroying it. So it's a good concept to kind of get that. But I'm basically going to talk about some of these ones that I was not quite as familiar with. I'm not going to talk about all 21 of these songs just like that, but I am going to have to go ahead and say and stuff that there are some ones I'm less familiar with that I'm going to talk about just to kind of get some extra pitches on these just to describe them a bit. Because, yeah, I mean, basically, like King Kong is just Lil Wayne destroying Jibs as King Kong, stuff like that. And it's the same thing with Live from 504. It's the same thing with Live from 504. That's just Lil Wayne destroying like Shoulder Lane, stuff like that. Blooded is just him destroying like I want to say Go Get It. Blooded is just Lil Wayne destroying Jeezy's I Love It. So it's just kind of the pitch as far as that particularly kind of happens. But we'll go ahead and recommend some of these ones that I just am less familiar with. So basically, some ones I'm going to talk about on here would be like Black Republicans. This is a pretty nice one. This is originally a Nas song. Black Republicans is originally a Nas song, and Joel Santana and Lil Wayne do a pretty good job on this particular song. This is like a fierce kind of imperial-like bravado, I would have to say, on this particular song. Joel's and Wayne do pretty excellent on this song. It's just a graceful kind of outing song. Is what I had to say. So this one, like I was saying, this is a very kind of ferocious type song. This has that overall energy, just a very kind of turned up bravado type feel. Definitely something that Jay-Z and Nas would kind of be on. Something of that just kind of large, kind of looming type pitch of a more elegant type gracefulness that just kind of has that ritzy kind of affability. I would have to suppose that's a pretty nice one. But Joel's and Lil Wayne are pretty good lyricists. So it's a good concept to kind of get a mixtape type fare of that. Upgrade's a pretty nice one. This was originally a Beyonce song. It's like a snazzy kind of promo outing for the ladies. Fair, I would have to say. It's just a graceful kind of bop. I would definitely feel like, and it does some lyrical damage. So this is just a nice one. This is kind of like some boyfriend type music. I would definitely have to suppose in like a mixtape sense. Lil Wayne just being on a Beyonce song. Jay-Z did a pretty good job on here, but Lil Wayne does a pretty good job just in a more kind of youthful sense just within that particular pitch. Now, not youthful like we're talking 16, 17, but, youthful mid-20s just within the pitch of still kind of being tall tees and jerseys, not quite being suits and ties, but just kind of the in-between type session and still kind of, not necessarily rookie, but just kind of in the concept of just still balling pretty hard as far as that kind of happens, I would have to say. Jay-Z was just later in the game as far as that pitch kind of happens, but it is a pretty nice one. Can't Stop, Won't Stop's a pretty nice one. This has a good Nicki Minaj kind of cameo on here. Definitely like this particular one. This is a good Nicki and Lil Wayne combo. I would have to say this is like a boppish kind of promo freshness that this song particularly kind of has. And it's just a peppy kind of going out type tune, I'd have to say. So I want to say that this song is by the Youngbloods, something like that. I don't really remember wholesomely, but this is a good concept to kind of get this one. This is a very nice boppish type one to kind of get. Just a real peppy type one that just has a lot of good kind of Can't Stop, Won't Stop has a lot of good appeal just for like some good peppy kind of outings as far as that kind of happens. Just a real kind of breezy type song just to kind of be for like some good stepping out just within the sense of like some good. Can't Stop, Won't Stop has a good breezy appeal for some outings, I would have to say. So that's a pretty nice one to kind of get that. And it's a good Nicki cameo, I'd have to say. So it's a good concept there. I Can't Feel My Face is a pretty nice one. This is a pretty retro type beat, I'd have to say. This is like a bass heavy thumper. I would definitely feel like it's just a vintage 80s type beat. By the time you hear the synths on this particular song, you'll definitely recognize that this came out of the 80s somewhere, I would have to say. This is a good pitch to kind of get that one. Not really wholesomely sure as to who did this production. I was just checking on it just a few moments ago, but this is an older computer, so I'm not going to really do that. But I just would look after the concept. This is like a night party craze, I would definitely have to say, and it's just a retro kind of hit. So definitely like the concept of this particular one. It's just a good highlighted one to kind of get. This is, once again, this is a retro beat. This is like West Coast and kind of more 80s type fare as far as that kind of happens just before NWA and things like that. This is kind of 87, 86 type stuff. So this is one of the older beats on this particular mixtape as far as that kind of happens. But Lil Wayne destroys this song as usual. And it's just a good kind of, this is a good party starter. This is definitely one to kind of have just amongst the carnage of the party as far as that kind of happens. Just drink sloshing and things like that. Just kind of getting crunk, some of those type moments. It's a good concept to kind of get that one. One of the best songs on the album, I would have to say, is Back on My Grizzy. I definitely feel like this is a pretty good highlight. This is like lyrical carnage, I would have to say. This song is lyrical carnage. I'd have to say it's got a pounding beat. I would definitely feel like it's just an excellent kind of smoke a few cut, I would have to say, and it's just got an overall kind of frosty feel. So this is kind of like some wintry bite. Great song to listen to in January, February, something like that. It's kind of the more frosty type weather, I would definitely have to suppose. It's a real kind of a visceral type song. The original song that this was by the Youngbloods, so this is called Chop Chop, something like that. I'd have to say it's a good pitch to kind of get. Definitely a good highlighted one to kind of fuck with and just kind of have on here. Lil Wayne completely made this song his own song, I'd have to say. This was originally Youngbloods, but I would have to say Lil Wayne pretty much owned this song, just like I would say with the Ride for My Niggas type song that was Mr. Jones by Mike Jones. I'd have to say that those are two ones that Lil Wayne just completely owned and made his. So that's a good concept to kind of get. New Cash Money is like some Don Cannon like city hopping, I would have to say. It's just a jazzy kind of night flash that this song particularly kind of has, and this is just some shopping music, and it's just an overall kind of ritzy song. This is an example of like a Cameron beat that Lil Wayne actually. This is an example of a Cameron beat that Lil Wayne completely destroys as far as that pitch kind of happens. This is just a better approach type one. This was off of Purple Haze, so this is a pretty good example to kind of get that one. Just a real kind of city flash as far as that kind of happens. Just within a ritzy kind of sense. This is definitely some great shopping music. This is a good example of Cameron just being able to have some of those ritzy shopping type feels that just pull it off pretty with a lot of pizzazz, I'd have to say. So that's a nice one. Briscoe and Lil Wayne do a great job on here. President is of course like a classic. President of course is like a classic mixtape type hit, I would have to say. This is like a stock kind of classic mixtape track, I would have to suppose. This Currency and Lil Wayne do damage on this. Currency and Lil Wayne damage things on this particular song, and this is just a great get blaze kind of song. So this is just an easy kind of highlight. This is Dead Presidents by Jay-Z. This beat is Dead Presidents by Jay-Z, which is a classic kind of rap beat. It's one of the better rap beats of all time, I'd have to suppose. So this is just a real nice highlighted one to kind of get this vintage kind of hit. Just definitely belongs on this particular mixtape. I'd have to say just a good example of Lil Wayne and Currency completely. Just a good example of Lil Wayne and Currency completely destroying this beat and doing excellent damage with this. Just a real kind of hooky and just a real kind of affable type one that just really is kind of catchy, I'd have to say. So it's a real nice one. Then Promise is a pretty good highlight. This is kind of a more R&B type tune, I would have to say, but Lil Wayne just raps on this one, but still pretty. This is like a mixtape slow jam, I'd have to say. It's just lyrical blaze. This song is some lyrical blaze, I would definitely feel like, and this needs to happen more on mixtapes. I'd have to suppose this getting like mixtape slow jams is something that's like an R&B type beat, but just being able to destroy it and kind of go in on it as far as that pitch kind of happens. And this is just a stock hit. I would definitely say, like, you know, this would be a good example of just picking out like an R. Kelly beat or an Akon beat or an Usher beat or a Trey Songz beat, something like that, and just being able to go in on it and just have some of those particular type pitches. I just think this is a good example. One, primary Lil Wayne just being able to do that, take a Ciara song and basically make it his in a lot of senses, or at least make it more boyfriend type material as far as that pitch kind of happens. Just good for some outing fare and just things like that. Just kind of a good kind of woozy type promo song, bedroom boom, slow jam type tune as far as that pitch kind of happens. Just a good example of trying to get that. That's a good example of the pitch as far as that kind of happens. So I just would have to say, so this mixtape is going to get a 10 out of 10. Like I was saying, 21 songs out of 26 is pretty damn excellent, I would have to suppose. The social score is going to get a 10 out of 10 also. The social score is going to get a 10 out of 10 also because it's just chock full of hits, I would have to say. It's just got a good example. Plenty of relevant hits to 2006, 2007, even further back in some cases. Songs from the 80s, songs from the 90s, stuff like that. Some Jay-Z beats, some Nas beats, some Cameron beats, some stuff like that. Just some overall good pitches. Has the East Coast tracks on here, has a bunch of Southern cuts. Just would have to say it's got some nightclub songs. This has a lot of pizzazz, just some good moments. And this, it's Lil Wayne, so it's definitely primary. It's not just Lil Wayne, but it's primary Lil Wayne. It's back when he was hungry, back when he was doing these things, just destroying these things, and just had the Midas touch as far as that pitch can happen, especially on like his mixtape fare. This is better than Dedication 2. Some folks feel like Dedication 2, like DJ Dramas even said that Dedication 2 is Lil Wayne's best, but I feel like this one outshines those. I just would have to say it's better than the Dedication 1 and 2 and 3 and some of those type ones. It's a real good pitch, and it has 26 songs of Lil Wayne, and basically the vast majority, 21 out of 26 songs, are highly exceptional, I'd have to say. So that's a good concept. So 10 social. In terms of the future, like Lil Wayne has dropped an album with 2 Chainz called Welcome to College Grove, which came out in November 2023, and then in September 2023 he dropped a mixtape called The Fix Before the Six. So I'd have to say that's some good stuff there to kind of get that. But this is definitely a classic mixtape, I'd have to say, and I highly recommend it. Just go out and download it, go buy a pizza, something like that, go get a deep dish pizza, go smoke some herbs, some stuff like that, just get crunk, go buy a bottle of Jim Beams and stuff like that, and just completely get bliss to this particular mixtape because it's pretty damn, it's definitely some high grade fire.